Hello, this is Bill Webb, aka Billy Indiana. I'm doing some quick recaps of my summer gameplays. I was pretty busy traveling all over this summer and spent time in multiple states and multiple cities, and so didn't really get around to making very many videos. So, kind of going back, hopefully, you've seen my May and June of 2023 videos, but now I want to show you what games I played in July 2023, getting closer to the current date, and tell you what I liked about some of those games and share my favorites that were not new to me and favorites that were new to me over that month. So if you're curious to see that, stay tuned. So to keep this streamlined, I'm using BGG to kind of highlight the games instead of going through all of the games individually like I had typically done prior to May 2023. And like I said, in this video, we're focusing on July, where you can see I had 51 total gameplays. If we open up BGG and look at the 51 gameplays, it was divided over 23 games. And you can see here in the top row, I played several games multiple times. And these five, Acropolis, Applejack, Next Station London, Next Station Tokyo, those four, I played all of those on BGA only, and therefore got a lot of games. Played several of them solo, played a few with friends, but those were my most played games. None of them new to me, and enjoyed all of them. You can play them so quickly on BGA, and so that's why I got quite a few games played over this part of the summer. Caldera Park is a game that I used to own. I did trade it away. We played it quite a few times, played it in May, I think maybe once or twice in June, several times in July, a couple times in August, and then traded it away. It's a fun tile placing game and I did enjoy it, but kind of felt like after about 10 plays or so, I'd seen everything that I was going to see about it. And not to mention, I was pretty terrible at that game, so it was less motivating for me to want to keep coming back to it. It's kind of weird because I usually like tile playing games because I'm kind of typically good at those, but boy, not Caldera Park. All right, Tender Blocks is one we played with the grandkids while we were up in Seattle visiting, and that's just such a fun time of dexterity, stacking the logs and the flames, and the grandkids loved playing that with us, and they had surprisingly good touch building those little fires up, and so that was a lot of fun. Trailblazer, the John Muir Trail, played a couple times with my wife and once with some friends. I really like that game. I had played Trailblazer, the Arizona Trail, a prototype at Dice Tower West back in March, I guess it was. Really enjoyed that game and finally got my Kickstarter version of the John Muir Trail. It was amazing. I'll talk about that again in a few minutes. Carcassonne the Castle and Carcassonne the City, two games that I'd never played before but was able to pick up in trades and used recently. Really loved both of those. We'll talk about that again as well. Here you can see I did play the Castles of Burgundy, and I clicked this time on the special edition because I definitely did play the special edition in this month with my wife. Played Hadara for the first time, got to play the Spill a couple times with my daughter and her husband up in Washington. That was a lot of fun. We played once and lost, and we're like, let's try it again right away. And we turned around and won the second time. Played Splendor Duel a couple times with my wife. After Us on BGA. Architects of the West Kingdom on BGA. Cacao on BGA. Played Castronauts with the grandkids. Played Globetrotting, new game that recently received the Kickstarter. Played that with, I think, first play was probably just my wife and I before we went up to Seattle, and then it shows up in August again when we played with them up there. Living Forest played online on BGA. Potion Explosion also BGA. Stroganoff board game. I talked about that in my June video if you want to hear more about that, but I'll mention it again here in a minute. Survive Escape from Atlantis, played that in July. You'll see it again in August if you watch that video. And that was one we played with the grandkids up in Seattle as well. Borrowed it from my friend John, and he suggested that we would enjoy playing that with the kids and had a lot of fun. And then Zularetto, played that one on BGA as well. So now you've seen the games and roughly how many I've played of each one, or exactly if you're paying really close attention, how many I've played of each one. But now let me talk about the couple of favorites that were not new to me, and then I'll talk about the favorites that were new to me. So the ones that were not new to me, I'm always loving Castle of Burgundy. Every time I can play Castles of Burgundy, I'm going to be excited to do that. It never disappoints. I love the dice play. I love the decision making. I love the timing that has to be so important. And so that was a lot of fun. The Spill, I hadn't played that one in months, and it's just a fun cooperative game, very pandemic-like, but you're trying to save the ocean from an oil spill and save the animals. And we lost on like one of the last turns. We got all the way down. It was basically in that last roll, whether we were going to win or not, and we lost. And so right away we said, hey, let's just play again. It's a pretty quick one. I think it plays quicker than Pandemic, and the theme is just much more pleasing for me. I think especially these days. So we had a great time with the spill. So those are some that weren't new to me, but that were just absolutely fantastic. And then I talked about Stroganoff in my June video, if you want to go back and watch that, but played it again with some friends, and it was a 4-player game, and it did go a little long, but I enjoyed every minute of it. Obviously, with a game like that, the more players you have, the longer it's going to take. So there is some downtime between turns. I didn't mind the 4-player style of play. It didn't seem to affect that as much as just the gameplay length. Of course, the other 2 that played with us had never played before, so there was a teach and things. So I think I would probably prefer to play it at 2 or 3, just for time, not because it changes the game a lot. It played equally well at 4. In fact, there might have even been a little more competition for things in some ways. So it was fun regardless. So that was another one that just really loved. That was not new to me. Now for the games that were new to me that I enjoyed. It's hard to not mention the ones that I just had a great time playing with the grandkids, like Survive was a lot of fun, learning that one and playing that with the grandkids. But some of the other ones that I really enjoyed the most, Trailblazer, as I mentioned, I really love so much about this game. I like the way it simulates the hiking trail and the things you have to maintain while you're hiking, and the bit of a race for certain things and competition for spots and moving on several different tracks. I really just enjoy Trailblazer, the John Muir Trail. Can't wait to get that back to the table again. And then Carcassonne the Castle. That was so fun. It's got some really cool wooden pieces and you're building up the wall and just trying to time when you close off with the wall and when you score on the wall, blocking people with the wall. We played both 2 players and then also played with some friends as a 4-player game. Really enjoyed that one. And then Carcassonne the City, another fun one. I think it's 2-player only, if I remember correctly. And I believe one of these is a Reiner Knizia version. I forget which one. I think it might be the city, but it's really interesting that you, instead of building the city out, you actually have a perimeter and you're building in from the perimeter. And so it's got the Carcassonne feel to it, but some different twists and different ways to think through how you're building up your city internally, and again blocking and maximizing, and it's a really interesting twist on Carcassonne. I think I would play either of these easily before I would play pretty much any other version of Carcassonne, and it's not because I don't like it, but these were just so fun and fun little twists. And so of the new games to me, I would have to say that those 3 were my favorite for the month of July. So as you look over the games that I played, tell me which of these games are some of your favorites. And if you remember what you played in July or just over the summer, tell me what your favorite summer games were as well and why you liked them. I'd love to read about it in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching. This is Bill, Indiana, signing off.